Hey there. Good afternoon, I want to say, but it's good evening, Justin. Justin, good evening. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I know that it's evening, so that's even better.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's even better. We normally do these webinars in the morning, so adjusting to the time zones a little bit. My name is Steven. I'm one of the co-founders and CTO of CEO of Walter. And on, I think your left, my left is Justin. Justin, can you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do at Walter, and then we'll dive into the fun bits.
yeah, so my name's Justin. I'm one of the product specialists here at Walter Living. I work alongside Steven a lot of the days, most days. Sometimes I'm in the booth, sometimes he's in the booth. We trade off and on. Majority of my day is helping people, whether that is scheduling tours for them for their viewings or coming up with price analysis, having introduction calls, doing meetings like this, webinars, basically explaining what we do, why we do it, and what that looks like for our clients, and what how that has made us the most successful on-coat makelar in the country.
Nice, nice, nice. Perfect introduction. Again, my name is Steven, and today Justin and I will take you through some of the exciting new features that we have launched over the past couple of days. Because today is not only a special webinar, because we're doing this in the evening, but we also have two very exciting new products to announce. Some of you might already be familiar with these products. For those who are unfamiliar with these products, we'll do a quick introduction and then hopefully we can make this an interactive webinar as well. Like Justin said, we are one of the largest buying agents in the country. And we've done so by spending a ton of time reviewing properties. In Dutch, we call this an aankoopscan or a purchase scan. We pretty much want to tell you, using data and our experience, what the real value is of a property, what we think you should do to place the winning offer, and what the so-called village idiot might do if money is a non-issue. Justin, we like this interactive part. So how can people share their favorite home, and how can we make sure that we can then dive into those numbers and share maybe one, maybe even two calculations today?
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So what you could do, if you have a house that you're interested in, just drop the funder link right into the chat box. As soon as we get it, we will start working on a calculation and we'll do it live. So you can kind of see how the sausage gets made, where you see where we pull these numbers from, where you get what makes a good comparable, what makes a bad comparable, because that's very important then. You don't want to be comparing apples to pears, as Stephen and my colleagues like to say. So,
Exactly, exactly. So we'll choose a random number in a minute to figure out which house we should pick, but feel free to drop those links in there. We should have
Lizette,
enough time.
Lizette wasted no time. We've already got one.
Nice, nice. So keep them coming. We might want to do a few more. Let's start off with explaining who Walter is and why we believe using Walter is a must-have during your home buying journey. We're doing this in English, by the way. There might be some Dutch people on the call as well. I might translate this live. Hopefully, most people can follow us as we do this with our international friends on board as well. So, at Walter, we want people to make well thought out decisions during their house hunt. We all know that this is an incredibly stressful time in your life where not everyone has your best interest in mind. So at Walter, we want to make sure that we give you four incredibly simple options to help you during the house hunt. Justin, I'll start with one, you do the other one. Just let's change it up a little bit. We
Okay, let's
first
go.
yeah, we first want you to think about simply signing up for a 100% free Walter account, which gives you access to our basic fully automated property reports. You can track price changes with Betrapte Makelaar, and you can see the bidding behavior of your competition. Walter free is always free. No monthly payments, Not a lot of spam afterwards, just you getting access to the basic home buying facts. Justin, take it away.
Yeah. So plus. Plus is for the do-it-yourselfers, somebody that doesn't really want a lot of help, but they want to make more informed decisions. Or if you're just starting out and you just want to dip your toe into the market, see what houses are selling for, see what the competition looks like, that's where Walter Plus comes in. You're going to get unlimited property reports. You'll have access to our CMA tool, our comparative market analysis that Steven's going to demo later, whenever how we come up with our calculations. Neighborhood maps, which is a new feature, which we will probably do a little bit of a demo for that later on because it's very exciting. It's only a few days old
Definitely.
and we're all very excited about it, where you can have different layers to the maps and see price ranges based on the entire country. And then you can see these sold prices, the past sold prices that are then indexed to what they would sell for in today's market to come up with your own comparisons and price analysis.
Nice. And then I would say like my favorite new product, Walter Sessions. With Walter Sessions, you will get immediate access to one of our buying experts. Our buying experts have purchased over 300 homes in the past 12 months. They are literally doing this every single day. And now you can talk to them for 40 minutes, uninterrupted, dedicated attention for your ideal perfect offer. You'll get matched with one of our buying agents who will obviously listen to how your house hunt is going, then do an in-depth market analysis of one or maybe even two properties that you are currently considering to place an offer on. And you will walk away with hopefully zero unanswered questions about the real value of the house, the winning offer, and what a potential crazy offer might look like. We've done the first few sessions in the past couple of days. Really, really fun to do. I've done a few myself as well. Excited to see a wide range of questions from people who are either actively bidding and want to have a second opinion in the very last hour before submitting their offer. We've had people that simply wanted to talk about like how the market is going in their region. We've had people who wanted to figure out the list price of a property that they want to sell. And we had people that won multiple offers and were looking for, again, a second opinion, which offer to pursue. Walter Sessions is a fixed fee of €149. You can book your next session at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Great if you're actively bidding and just want to get that like 1 or 2% extra confidence in your offer. And Justin, saving the best for last, Walter All in One.
All in one. Yes. Marissa, I saw the house, or I see the house that you added. We will also be going over that one as well. But so for all in one, that is as it says, all in one. So that is the buying service. That's where we would act as your Aankoop makelaar or your buying agent, and we would walk with you hand in hand from essentially this call until the moment that you get the keys. So that's an unlimited amount of property reports, unlimited sessions, dedicated buying agent that you have access to at any time. We submit all of your offers, we handle the negotiations, and once your offer has been accepted, we'll handle the technical inspection, the appraisal, the taxati report that you need, as well as assist with the legal documentations for the purchase agreement and help you find a notary in your area. All of that is on a no cure, no pay basis. So unless we're successful, you don't owe us anything. And even then, you pay when you get the keys. So it's not an upfront cost and it's not paid when your offer gets accepted, but when you get the keys.
Nice. And Justin, putting you on the spot there, but like, why would I not just simply use a session for the first time? Like, why would I even upgrade to all in one?
Because a offer session is great. It gives you insights, it gives you a clear bidding strategy, but there's more to offer. There's more to an offer than just the monetary amount. It also has to do with the types of contingencies that you're offering. It also has to come with the legitimacy of you on your own. Uh, Not to make it sound like we're better than you, but we kind of are. Whenever a offer comes from us versus from you alone, there's 10 to 15 questions that the sellers already have answered before they even speak with you. So they already have a ton more information about you when it comes from us versus just buy from you on your own.
Got it. Got it. So we'll spend more time on why a different service better fits your needs. The beautiful thing here is that you have four wonderful options, ranging from completely free to paying just 19 euros a month, cancel it at any time, and reactivate it if you need it for the second month. Walter sessions, on-demand advice by the biggest, largest, and most successful buying agents of the country. And if you want us to be alongside of you every step of the way, upgrade to all-in-one. Enough with the promotion talk. I think it's time to just do a quick product demo.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. So I am, first of all, trying to share the right browser tab, and hopefully that works. And I can actually find myself in the screen. There we go. I am going to spend some time on showcasing like how Walter works, what features you get when you subscribe to Walter Plus. So again, everything that we are about to share is available in Walter Plus, and hopefully these behind the scenes will help you make the most out of your time at Walter. Justin, we have at least two houses that are shared, and I think we're just going to start with the first one. If all goes well. Yes, we are going to the Kibbemonde 108. Again, the fun thing about doing these things live is that we do not know what we are about to see. And that is, in the end, how it always works. So if you have access to Walter, you get a nice little search bar. Simply copy and paste your Funda link in the search bar. And then obviously, when I do that, I see that I copied the wrong link to my dashboard. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit and make the link the one that I can share. Kibbemonde in Nieuwegein. We see this information hitting our systems in real time. So we already know what type of house this is, the size of the house, the yard, number of stories, etc. And the real only thing that we need to do, hit that button to create our first property report. With this property report, we can then have a look at a few things. First of all, we can look at the review report, or if you are part of all-in-one, you can immediately move forward with Hester, my personal buying agent, to make an offer. But first things first, we are going to spend some time looking at the Walter report, explain how it works. And before we do that, we are going to have a look at Walter Maps, because having an excellent understanding of the neighborhood, its surroundings, will help you make better buying decisions. So while we are looking at the Kibbemonde 108, I'm just going to fire up Walter Maps. And if all goes well, I can actually see the Kibbemonde right here. And we're just going to fly all the way to Nieuwegein to have a perfect understanding of what are we looking at. So we are looking at a big map, and our map has different layers. Each of those layers represents a little bit of information, I would say a piece of the puzzle, to help you better understand what type of market you are about to enter. We have different layers, from the WOZ-waarde, the WOZ value, to the age of the people that will be your future neighbors, the background, the migration background of your neighbors, the percentage of home ownership in the area, people who are receiving social benefits, and then later on we'll zoom in to actually see on a building level what we are dealing with. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to again get a better understanding of this housing market. We are looking at Nieuwegein. We can see some more expensive areas where the grid is colored from orange to dark red. And we can have a look again a little bit closer to home, where we can see that this house is located in a neighborhood with slightly more expensive houses, neighboring some less expensive, smaller neighborhoods. Looking at the age of the residents, you can see a pretty intense difference in where the average age where we are looking is between 45 and 50, and just a few blocks away, it's dropping by almost 15 to 20 years. So a very clear difference in like who your future neighbors might be. A very interesting layer is always to look at how many of your future neighbors are homeowners versus people that are renting your property. There is absolutely nothing wrong with renting a house, but it does give you some indication in terms of who your future neighbors will be. And again, we're seeing here a slightly older audience with 100% home ownership, with only a few people renting. And if we are a few blocks away, we could see some more social housing and renting just, again, I would say, only a few blocks away. So amazing to see all these different colors and maps, whether we are in Nieuwegein. And if we move up just like a quick look into how Utrecht is behaving, we can see the more expensive neighborhoods, we can see more affordable neighborhoods, we can see different age groups, and for every city in the country, you will now have immediate access to how all these neighborhoods are built and who is living there. Back to Nieuwegein, we are going to zoom in a little bit more on a building level to figure out how young or old are the houses that we are looking at. So we are looking at houses from, I would say, 1945 up to 1980 in this region. And if we move up a little bit, you can see that there are older buildings here to the north and even older buildings right here, houses from the 1930s, some newer developments up here in the 2000s. And the neighborhood that we're looking at is predominantly houses that are built somewhere in the 80s. So this is about 40 years old. It is important because we are going to look for comparable houses. And if we do so, we want to look at properties that are roughly from the same build period, right? We do not want to look at houses that are 20 years younger or 50 years older. I see in the chat, Herman, thank you for the confirmation. We do hope that this gives a very accurate picture of how each market is behaving. We are making use of the official CBS land registry data and from the cadastre enriched by the data science team at Walter. This map is pure facts. We are not discriminating on different types of homes. We are not pretending to know everything. We just want to give you access to the raw facts of the housing market. Cool thing is you can look into each and every single transaction to see when this transaction happened, which agency sold it. If you want to access the district code, you apparently can. And there's a little bit of history of the loss value as well. But again, it gives you just the most pure view of the local housing market. Another important theme, energy labels. You can see exactly the energy labels of each and every building in the country. And the cool thing is that you can often see patterns where obviously older houses that we just saw over here have on average worse energy labels than newer developments. Assuming that this is a newer development, you can kind of see the older developments on the right side and then a newer development, and those newer developments often have better energy labels. So again, I think it's an amazing tool to get a deep understanding of where you are buying a house. And then the last layer, also often interesting, is to see what is the purpose of these buildings. Some buildings are shops or cafes. In this little area, we predominantly see residential buildings. Simply put, people that live here, work here, and if you want to have like a more vibrant community, a little bit to the north, you can see a larger mix of building functions. And again, this is mostly families living here. And if we want to see the big difference, just zooming up to Utrecht, where did Utrecht go? There we go. Yeah, it's always exciting to navigate maps here. If we want to look at the building use, here we can see an incredibly diverse functions of each building. So I love just panning around, whether it's in Amsterdam or Utrecht or even smaller cities, to see like what type of buildings can we find and what can we learn. But let's go back to the Kribbenmonde. And those are, I would say, the surroundings of each neighborhood. So this is the core feature of Walter Maps, making sure that we understand the neighborhood. Now from Walter Maps, we can go to Funda. And I just want to make sure that you can also see what I'm seeing. And up until now, I don't think that's the case. So I am going to find my way back into the webinar.
I was seeing everything that you had.
Great. Let me find my way back to where the webinar is, and then at some point we'll manage this. There we go. I am trying to find. There we go. So we're back on Funda. We are going to go into the Kribbenmonde and spend a little bit of time looking at the property. And I'll also show you what I'm paying attention to when we're making a review. So we obviously have wonderful descriptions that we tend to not spend too much time on, but we can immediately see there's a modern kitchen in there from 2019. There's a new bathroom and toilet in there. Again, this is everything. We've already learned this in maps. Large part of the exterior is painted in 2022 and most recently this year. Energy label B, parking spaces. There is the year built. We already saw that from the early 80s. And we have central heating and in full ownership. These are some of the details that we find important to know. In some cities, we have erfpacht or ground lease. That will impact not only the amount of people that are willing to purchase a house, but it might also impact your mortgage capabilities. So we have a wonderful place and we can spend a little bit of time inside of this house. What are the things that I'm paying attention to? So the description already taught us a little bit. This is a fairly new kitchen, so there's absolutely no need to make upgrades here. The floor looks well maintained. Again, no need to make upgrades. And as we walk through the house, the description already show some parts. This little room is a little bit older, or at least the tile work is a little bit older than just a few years, based on the design of the tiles. And you can often see that the agent is trying to hide that fact by having a really close-up picture of a few tiles. But then again, that is perfectly fine to do so. Bathroom looks nice, recently upgraded. So again, absolutely no need to make changes right here. As we go to the house itself, a wonderful place for a family to live at a wonderful location with a perfect exterior. Not a ton of comments here. Justin, anything that I miss that you would highlight if you go to this house based on this quick review?
No, it's just that bathroom that seems like it needs a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's fine, but compared to the rest of it, it's a bit dated.
Yeah, it's a little bit dated, so we can definitely have a look at if this is something that we need to take into account. Now, let's go back into my Walter account. Go back at that report, and they should be in my houses, the Kribbenmonde, and we can then go back into the Walter report and have the first few estimates of like how Walter works. So we make two calculations at Walter. First one is a fully automated calculation, and we are going to spend some time on the so-called desktop valuation, which is a hand-picked calculation by comparing the top 3 or 4 comparable houses to figure out the real value of this house. The estimated value tries to do the same thing, but tends to be slightly less accurate because this is a fully automated model. So we always prefer to make our own calculations. This is what we do in Walter Sessions. This is what you can do in Walter Plus. And this is what your buying agent would do if we would become your buying agent. What can you learn from the estimated market value? You can quickly see that a house that needs maintenance has a lower price per square meter than a house that looks like new. These differences could be quite extreme, and we are going to learn how extreme those differences are. Because by far, my favorite graph within Walter has always been this graph. We want to figure out how much were properties sold for per square meter. And Justin, if you can confirm that you can see my cursor moving, then I can actually paint a little bit on the screen.
Yes, I can see.
Nice. So on the right side, we have larger properties. You can see the 130 square meters right here. And then on the left side, we have smaller properties in terms of the living area. You can also see that there's a clear bottom of the market alongside this line. And that line actually goes down. So the larger the property is, the on average lower the price per square meter. And we can see there's a clear higher end of the market alongside this line. And it also goes down. There are some outliers. There always have to be outliers. But broadly speaking, I would say the very high end of the market is about 4,200 euros per square meter, maybe slightly less at 41.5. So we also know that the list price right now is 37.95. Always difficult with the Dutch and English numbers during a webinar. 37,95 versus 41.52. So there is already a clear spread between a property that needs maintenance and is in a good condition. And I very much believe that this house is in a good condition. So we're going to try to figure out how realistic is this list price, or is the agent just playing games? We also have some raw facts. This house was most recently sold in 2019 for 295,000 euros. And based on the Funda description, we can clearly see that the current owners made a decent amount of upgrades back in 2019 and slowly started to upgrade the other parts of the house. And then my least favorite graph at Walter, that is the bidding behavior. This just shows how unfair list prices are. Over the past 18 months, there has not been a single property sold below the list price. Each and every property sold here in this region was sold far, far above the list price, with outliers at almost 24% above the list price. Luckily, it was even crazier back in 2022, with almost 30% above the list price, but this just shows that list prices are not to be trusted. We're going to make our own calculation in a minute, and we are going to do that by launching a comparative market analysis, which is just 3 fancy words for finding comparable houses. In this region, we have about 3,800 comparable houses that we could use. If we zoom out again, we can see those same neighborhoods that we just saw in Walter Maps. Different color scheme, we're still updating this, but we can see more expensive neighborhoods right here. And we've seen that we should really focus in on this piece of land, because we want to find comparable houses that are very similar, that are also in the similar year built, and should have similar traits, which limits us to 55, 56 properties. We are then going to zoom in and only look at really the best comparable houses that we can find. So we have a set of 5 comparable houses. I'm just going to throw all of them into our calculator, and then we can see that the estimated market value of the selection of 5 houses is not 425, but is actually 457. We can also see one fun fact, and that is actually that Arendonk Makelaardij, the selling agent of this property, has sold approximately 8 homes in Nieuwegein in the past year. One of the smaller agencies in the region, and they typically sell 47,000 euros above the list price. So looking at a list price of 425 in Utrecht, Nieuwegein region, we immediately start thinking about we have to get very close to, I would say, like 475, maybe even 500 to even stand a chance. The highest offer that this agency received in the past 12 months was 75,000 euros above the list price. And we know this simply by looking at list prices, then receiving the transaction prices from the land registry and simply making a comparison in between these two. We know this from each and every single transaction and agency in the Netherlands. So it is a little bit of a superpower to understand what the real idea is behind a list price. We can also see that some properties are likely in a worse condition. So, Justin, do me a favor and describe this house for me.
This is a kitchen that hasn't been touched since the house was built in the 80s. Same with that bathroom. The
Yeah,
tile floor reminds me of my childhood. Everything about this house is you could live here. You could easily move in and be good to go, but it's not nearly as at the same condition as the one that we're evaluating. I wouldn't include this.
absolutely. So the beautiful thing is that we have opinions and we like to be very vocal about these opinions, and you can absolutely decide differently, but we'd like to tell you what we think the real home condition is of a house. Like Justin mentioned, this house is in a perfect condition to live, but if you would spend 365,000 euros on a house, you would likely also want to replace a kitchen and upgrade a bathroom. This house was sold 2 years and 8 months ago. So we know it was listed for 350. The transaction price back then was 365,000 euros. But this is not the number that you should ever focus on because the market is ever evolving, whether it's going up or going down. You should always look at the expected sales price in today's market. So if we would look at a more of a fixer-upper, we would actually want to compare this house, and we do not want to compare this number, but we want to compare the 422 number. So what would this property be worth when it would hit the market today in its current condition? I think it's fair to say that this house is in a worse condition than the house that we are looking at. So we are removing this from our selection, and that actually impacts our calculation. So we now go a little bit higher to 465. And I'm going to look at some of the other properties to see if those properties also need to be removed from our selection. Broadly speaking, I would say I would probably remove this one as well. Kitchen is looking okay. Bathroom definitely older. Here we say have a nice mix in the kitchen that is not brand new. Also recently upgraded bathrooms. A recently sold house where the bathroom, probably in the last decade, where the kitchen could use some upgrades, but fully functional and definitely no immediate way or need to replace it. And this house is also sold a little bit closer to today's date. So a list price of 425, sold for 450. In today's market, a relatively large bump, but still 4%. So we're talking about 468. All these numbers combined, we have an estimated market value of 470,000 euros. I am going to cheat a little bit and show you really everything. So we now have a perfect selection of comparable houses, all in the same neighborhood, just a few blocks away from where we are buying. We can also see that we have a reality check where we know that typically this agency sells houses between 50 to 60,000 euros above the list price. We know from the entire market that the average percentage of people submitting offers and winning is 14% above the list price. And we know that if we want to submit an offer that stands a chance, we most likely have to go to 483,000 euros, averaging just below the average in the market. And then we have our all-in amount, which looks at some of the more aggressive offers, but also keeps in mind that this agency typically does not sell properties for more than 60,000 euros above the list price, which results in an all-in amount of 494,000 euros. Again, this list price is absolutely unrealistic. And if we would advise you based on what we know today, we would target an offer somewhere in between the desktop valuation and the suggested offer amount. Based on your personal circumstances, based on your home buying history, you might be more aggressive and go all in. But again, think wisely about going all in, because you might end up overpaying, overshooting, trying to outsmart the competition. Justin, that was the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I always love it when when it's the suggestions from the audience, because if not, we just end up in Amsterdam, and you know we do enough calculations
Who
for
wants to
Amsterdam.
be in Amsterdam all day long?
Lizette, do you have any questions regarding that while Steven starts queuing up the other property? Feel free to put them in the chat.
Throw them in the chat, and I am more than happy to also take a stab at the second house that we found in Eindhoven, the Willem Leidslaan number 13. We are again going to make a quick calculation, and then I am going to load up Walter Maps, because we just want to again understand where are we buying a property, and we're going to fly from Nieuwegein all the way to wonderful Eindhoven, to again have a better understanding of where are we looking, what type of market is this, and we're just going to speed it up a little bit. It won't impact the numbers. Again, we have the WAS values, we have resident backgrounds and percentage of home ownership, where you can clearly see large differences, where there are huge clusters of zero ownership, where there are zero houses. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can start to look at what type of buildings can we find here, from the early 20s, early 30s, wonderful houses in almost all cases. This is the construction from the 1950s with some relatively new developments, larger apartment complexes, as you can see at the Jozef Israëlaan. So clear market. We know where we want to find our comparable houses. We can pretty much take this entire group of comparable houses. And if we want to take a look at the WAS values, also very much the same housing market. And we kind of want to steer away from finding comparable houses in this region. These seem to be either new developments or at least a completely different market, and indeed newer developments in the early 2000s. So we really want to focus in on finding houses in the same price segment and in the same build period. I am going straight into our CMA, and we're going to dive back into the Walter report in a minute. We are going to zoom out a little bit. Can't wait for the team to merge these two products. So if my co-founder is watching, let's make it happen. We have a quick
We're
step at this
recording it.
house.
We'll just give Marcel a copy afterwards.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. Very, very straightforward. I don't even think we have to go to Funda. This house looks amazing. We are going to spend a little bit of time just going into the property itself. This looks really, really nice. Wonderful kitchen. Beautifully designed. Floorboards are like, there are some little gaps in the floorboard, so I don't think you want to replace it, but clearly they've been there for quite some time. Wonderful place. Beautiful. Little room, a little bit old school, but most of the other houses look very, very fine. Again, skipping through the more important details, full home ownership. Skimming some of the details, kitchen. Wonderful. There's been a big renovation around the change of the century. The roof has been replaced, or at least some of the roof plates have been replaced in 2007. Solar panels, so all in all, very good. And this is another important detail to keep in mind, is like, when do the sellers want to move out, right? So sometimes you want sellers to move out right away. In this case, sellers already indicated that they want to move out towards the end of August, which means if you are in a rush, this might not be the property. It might also mean that you have slightly more chances to have a few offers hitting their inboxes instead of 20 or 30 offers, because some people just want to move sooner than August. If we go back, there we go, into our CMA, we already made our selection. I have the wonderful feature to then solely focus on houses that are also in a good condition, adding a top 5 there, do a quick check on where we are. And again, this agency, Meneer de Makelaar, sold about 38 houses. One of the smaller agencies, however, they do have pretty decent results, between 38 and 51,000 euros above the list price. And then again, we are looking for houses that are in a very similar condition. So properties like this, where the kitchen needs to be replaced, just aren't a perfect fit. This looks way closer to what we are looking at. And again, keep in mind that not every style is exactly what you want to have, but we have to almost have a very broad opinion about, is this kitchen brand new or do we want to replace it? And in this case, clearly it is brand new. Doing a quick calculation and showing you again the behind the scenes here is where we have a very straightforward calculation, because we have those 2 comparable houses. We know that the average overbidding in this region is aggressive, 21% above the list price, which is really, really, really high. We have a desktop valuation of 440, 10% above the list price, with a suggested offer of 485, and an all-in offer closer to the 17% above the list price. We rushed into this, so let's double check our work. We can again go and see all the comparable houses that we've chosen, all from the 1950s, same houses, roughly the same size, energy labels ranging between D, E, and E, so slightly worse. And then we can look at, again, my favorite graph. So what can we see? We can clearly see that our calculation is right there at the very top for the desktop valuation, so 5,000 euros per square meter, perfectly aligned with properties that are also at the very higher end of the market. And you can again see the exact same pattern, right? Larger houses get relatively cheaper per square meter at the top and at the bottom of the market. And then if we want to find a property like this one, which is really at the very high end, 5,200 euros per square meter seems to be our target price. And if we go back into our advice, we are at 5,200 euros for a bidding advice, where all in is at 5,300, which again is slightly above what you would expect to pay for this house. This is a pretty solid calculation. It checks based on the comparable houses, it checks based on the recently sold chart, and it matches with what we see for the agency. So I would feel fairly comfortable that this is the range that you should be thinking about based on the information that I have today. Marissa is typing, so while Marissa is typing, and please take your time, do not feel rushed. I think it would be fun to have one more look at a property while we are here. We are going to Almere. Let's see. I think it is a 1 story, but just double check this. 3 stories. And we are going to hit send, go straight into our calculator. Double check what we're seeing here. And Marissa has an excellent question. I do not think it has a huge difference, because we've looked at comparable houses in the very same region. I did not check if those other houses were also wooden houses. So that is absolutely something that I would double check. And if you have a little bit of time to make the offer tomorrow, Justin, let's do a more in-depth calculation for Marissa tomorrow morning. Just double check that these other houses are also from the same type. And that might impact the valuation of the house. In today's pretty heated market, it probably will have very little impact on the offers that other people are doing. But again, limited information during this webinar. So Marissa, we are definitely going to follow up with you to make that happen. Justin, holding you responsible to remind me about this tomorrow, because otherwise I will forget this.
I
Herman,
already set a Slack reminder to ping me in the morning. So
perfect. So let's wrap it up with like one more property, the Duinbeekstraat in Almere. Also, obviously for Almere, we can do the exact same thing, right? So a very quick look at Walter Maps. Going to the Duinbeekstraat, having lived in Almere for quite some time, pretty familiar with Almere Poort here. And Almere Poort is one of the newer neighborhoods in Almere, where there's a lot of development happening here. A long time ago, actually built something over here. Have a more expensive strip right here than in the middle. A lot of relatively smaller houses, some rental houses as well, but mostly for people that are a little bit younger entering the market. And then this part is this is the fancy part of Almere Poort. We are nearby the beach, wonderful location, looking towards Eiburg. Really nice to live. Amazing area. Obviously, all brand new buildings, so we all have energy label A. This is almost all residential buildings. So with that information, we can just have a quick look at some of those comparable houses, if the computer actually wants to do that. So we're just going to give the computer a little kick. There we go. Needs a little bit of encouragement after 8. If we have a look at properties here and knowing this neighborhood, these properties are all brand new, 2018. So there's really nothing to worry about, right? So you can easily skip the building inspection. These properties will be in an excellent condition. Everything from the inside will most likely also look like it is only a few years old. And if we do a very quick scan of the Duinbeekstraat, again, you can clearly see this is as good as it gets. Wonderful kitchen, some usage signs here. So I personally would have taken a little bit more attention before taking this picture. But this is a perfect home. There is absolutely zero remarks. If you take a look at a house like this in its overall condition, pack up your bags and simply move in right away. So if we want to find comparable houses, we are just going to go into all the properties in the Duinbeekstraat and the Duinmeerstraat. And because all these houses are from the same build period and there is very little that could be wrong with the houses, we can pretty quickly see like what's happening here. Suusmakelaardij, between 25 and 50K above the list price, pretty wide range. All very recently sold houses. Pretty large batch in between here. So we're taking out houses that were sold a bit longer ago because there is just more magic in those numbers, right? This home increased by 20%. Ideally, we want to focus in on properties that are sold just in the past 12 months. And we have the luxury to do that. And in doing so, we are pinpointing the market value at 687. If there is a house that is sold, let's say 10, 20% above the list price, I tend to take that one out. But in this case, very straightforward. We have a ton of comparable houses, and going into what we believe needs to happen for this house, we are looking at a list price of 650, an average overbidding in the area of 7.8%. We want to outsmart the competition. We do not want to lose. So we place an offer of 704 with a more aggressive offer at 718. Can double check our work in the Walter report just to see that we are not crazy. And the nice thing here is that we know that this house was purchased for
Stephen,
Yep.
you're still sharing the Funda tab.
I'm still sharing the Funda tab. I was not about to share the Funda tab, so just let me circle back to this table first. A perfect comparison table. This house was most recently purchased for 490 5 years ago. In today's market, that would be 754,000 euros. This is quite an extreme indexation, so we tend to be slightly less aggressive. Going back into that advice where we would say going all in is around 718, which is very likely to be a winning offer since we're talking about a perfect turnkey house. And in this region, you would very much think that somebody's willing to go all in for a house at this location. Let me go back one more tab, just because we're here. See where we are. And again, this is why this graph is always so important. We can see we're buying a house that is brand new at the top of the market. So this is also where our house belongs. List price slightly on the lower end, and then the green dot perfectly in line with a house that looks like new. So very confident that you will have to think about a winning offer somewhere between the 690 and the 710 for a property like this. Justin, we did 3 houses, which is 2 more than we expected. So I think
Yeah.
that's always nice. I am going to put something on the screen, and you know exactly what this means.
Yes. So if any of you want more broader insights into any of those 3 properties, you can scan the QR code and book a session. I believe there's a discount applied to it, but I'm not quite sure. Is that correct, Stephen?
I was very lazy this afternoon and did not apply the discount. So whatever discount you want to come up with right now, we will make sure to apply that once people book that session, Justin. So this
Got
is all yours.
got it. All right. So I'm saying 25 euros off the first session, which would make it 125 versus the 149. Where we will spend 40 minutes going over any one of these properties, or a different property that you want to make an offer on. Alternatively, say you already made an offer and now you're concerned, hey, did I pay too much? We can also spend the 40 minutes doing a deep dive to confirm whether or not your offer did fall within the range that makes sense, or if you did potentially overpay. Alternatively, if you really liked maps as much, if you loved maps as much as we love maps and the way in which is we've been playing with it all week, sign up for Walter Plus, where you have maps, you have our comparative market analysis tool, and you can do your own calculations and play around with it. And then if you ever need the assistance to just confirm that your calculation is the same type of calculation we would make, book a session, and then moving forward, yeah, everyone's just making smarter bids. Do we have any questions from anybody?
Wow, we might have some questions. I just want to thank everyone for joining us at this not so late hour, but it's kind of nice
Yeah.
to do a webinar in the evening. We enjoyed a nice dinner before doing this webinar. Really fun to also discuss these like 3 listings, not prepared, and just to showcase like how data can help you make better and well-informed buying decisions, regardless of which product you use at Walter, whether it's the free product or the subscription, the sessions or the all-in-one. We are building Walter to help you make better informed decisions. So if you joined the webinar, you should get a link to the recording if you want to look at this again and again and kind of like see the tricks that we use. Because the wonderful thing is, for just 20 euros a month, you can do the exact same thing. Justin, a few questions that I always have and that we always get. We've been looking at different cities. If I'm an expat, and we know that we help a ton of expats as well, am I matched to an agent in one specific city? If I go to Utrecht, do I speak to someone else? Like, how does this work?
No, our agents work nationwide. It's not like we have a specific agent for Utrecht or a specific agent for Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Twente. All of our agents are skilled and they work nationwide. And now, especially with maps, we can't just compete. We don't just compete with the local agents. We're actually more informed. We see the local developments. We see every property and what it looks like, and we can use that to our advantage. And one thing that's great about data is it doesn't lie and it's unbiased. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another question, and three people are typing, so I'm just making
Yeah,
up these questions, and maybe I'm hitting
I'm
all those
buying
questions
some
right
time.
away. Um, this is a wonderful question, Marisa.
Yes.
Marisa, do agents have a background in the makelaardij or data? Some have, some do not. I think our mix of agents are people who have always have had a deep interest in the housing market. Some agents have been a makelaar for a decade. We have somebody that just got his diploma but didn't really like the old-fashioned way of how an agency is working. We have one of our other successful agents who have had zero experience in the housing market, being responsible for the most wins over the last couple of months. I myself have zero experience in real estate, but as a home buyer myself, I really wanted to understand like how the market works, and we quickly learned that having access to data is by far the most important thing. So a good mix in between people who have experience and people with zero experience. The fun thing is the success rate of our offers is pretty equally spread amongst all the different type of agents. Um, Talking about success rate, Justin, I'm going to sign up tomorrow for the buying service. Am I a winner on Friday? Like, how much time do you guys need to make me a homeowner?
Well, given that we're a data company, I have those exact numbers.
I know this. I know this. I know you have the answer.
The average time for our new clients to close on a home is 43 days. It takes 2.7 offers on average. We usually round that up to three. So,
Nice, nice. I would do that as well. Nice. So, a large part of house hunting is knowing that not every offer will be successful. So, we tend to prepare our buyers for some failure along the way. We have some beautiful email templates that will get more encouraging along the way. We know that not every attempt is a winning one. Our average success rate is about 1 out of 4, sometimes 1 out of 3 offers that is successful. So that is why we will not charge you a dime in our buying service until we are successful. If we are not successful, you should not be charged with anything. Once we are successful, we have a fixed rate of 4,950 euros, including a building inspection and an appraisal report. We're about 15 minutes overtime, which
yeah.
I think is perfectly fine. We still have a very nice audience. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining today. Thanks for your wonderful questions, your Funda links, and Guillermo, thanks for the
Thank you.
compliments. Definitely going to pass them along to the team. This is truly a team effort here with Walter, and hopefully we will see many of you during your first session. Sign up for Walter Plus if you haven't signed up, and be sure to enjoy all the data and hopefully score the winning offer with some of the insights that we have. Thank you so much, and enjoy the evening. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.